I actually filled up that role. I chose to be the prince.
Oh. So you know how we talk about queer spaces as a place where you can just be yourself, right? We talk about going there and how liberating that is and how exciting that is and how the mask comes off and you can just be yourself for the evening. Well, what if the opposite was also true? Like, what if being somebody else in a queer space is just as liberating? And maybe I don't mean someone else. Maybe what I mean is like another version of yourself, like a heightened version of yourself, or just drawing out a particular side of your personality, like the masculine side or the dramatic side or the bitchy queen in the corner side. Maybe don't pull that one out, but I hope you get what I'm saying. What if being someone else for the evening actually does far more to help you realize who you are than being yourself? Okay, I think maybe I'm tying myself up in knots with these questions here. So, whilst you ponder all of that, why don't I introduce you to this week's guest? Now, if you happen to be a fan of Drag Race, but you have not watched any of the international seasons yet, then let me recommend that you go straight to Drag Race Philippines, and in particular, season 3, because season 3 is chaotic and ridiculous and over the top and just amazing in all of the best ways. And it's also where I found this week's guest, the delightful Tita Baby. Now, Tita and I caught up to talk about Bed, which was a club in the capital city of the Philippines, Manila. And I mean, if you've listened to this show before, you know that we don't just talk about Bed. We also find out about Tita's childhood, growing up in a sheltered Catholic family, how she was never picked to play basketball with the other boys. And we also have this really interesting conversation about her bisexuality, which I'm still pondering. I'm still pondering now, even all these weeks later. Now, a few things before we get into it. First of all, if you are a Drag Race fan, then make sure that you subscribe to my newsletter, Queer Word, as this week we will be exploring a specific drag term that has emerged as a result of the show. And I'm going to keep it that mysterious and coy so your interest is piqued. I will include the sign-up link in the show notes for this episode, so come join and let me hang out in your inbox once a week. And secondly, I feel maybe I should apologize in advance for the fact that there are going to be lots of bad jokes that you hear throughout this episode, and in particular, those bad jokes being about the name of the club, Bed. So you can expect that we talk about being in bed quite a lot. We talk about going to bed with particular people and, you know, just general dad jokery, unfunny, but also incredibly funny type jokes. Right. Okay, now that I've got that off my chest, let's get into the episode. My name is Kay Anderson. This is Lost Spaces, the show all about lost queer spaces and how they've shaped our community, ourselves, and actually our whole entire world. Yes, I went there. Yes, our whole entire world. Right, let's get into it.
That is where my real sexual awakening happened.
Ooh.
I was in my early 20s when I discovered Bed through friends. And actually, I know the owner. So I get in through the back door, like the way we want it. Just like the way we want it.
Wait, this is innuendo again, right?
Yeah, so
so just as a question of clarification, when you say sexual awakening, do you mean about your sexuality in terms of like not being heterosexual? Or do you
No.
mean like, oh, I found out I was a sexual being?
Yes, that one. I found that I was a sexual
Ah,
being and
okay.
that I am attractive, apparently.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like going to bed every weekend with my friends and then lose them and a few hours later and go home with somebody else or, or myself.
Oh no, no, don't go home with yourself. That's not fun.
Yeah, but sometimes, I'd rather sleep.
Yeah, yeah, right. I get that. Okay, so in your early 20s is the time when you started going there. Do you remember like first hearing about the place existing? Like, what are your first memories of bed?
Okay, so before bed was existed, there were different clubs that I've been to in this certain town in Manila, the capital of the Philippines. Well, Metro Manila is the bigger city, and then Manila is the capital of the country. So there's a town there called Malate, and
Hmm.
Malate, it's actually a residential area. So if you go there, you'll see like old houses with even people living in there in the houses. And there were clubs that were apparently, safe spaces for LGBT people. But back then there was no such thing as the coined term LGBT. So we were like just all gay guys enjoying the
Mm.
space, and there are different clubs. So my first gay club wasn't bed really, but I felt I was too young to enjoy it that time, the first time I went there.
Why do you think you were too young to enjoy?
That's a very interesting question. I was thinking about it because I know we're going to talk about it. So I was thinking about it. I think I grew up pretty sheltered in a
Hmm.
Catholic family. And I grew up in an exclusive boys' school wherein, it's a little bit more traditional.
But you were like having gay sex from like a very early age then if you were in a boys'
No.
school.
No, you know what? Interestingly, Kay, when I was growing up in high school and in college, I thought all the gay men are in the closet and they don't meet each other. Nobody met each other as a gay person.
Oh.
So I thought, like, the reality of guys meeting guys and having sex and getting into relationships was something only in the imagination of gay guys when I was in high school and college. So it was never a possibility for
Oh,
me.
so at this point, when you were thinking, okay, I think I might be gay, did you just think, well, that's it. I'm never going to meet someone. It's
Yeah.
all just like a fairy tale.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. That's why imagine when I turned 20, 21, 22, and then I discovered
Hmm.
Malate, and then Bed Bar opened, which a friend
Hmm.
owned. So they invited us to the opening. Imagine, it was like Disneyland for me.
But was it like Disneyland in the way that you're like, oh my God, there's so many people here and everyone seems to know what they're doing and I don't know what I'm doing and where am I supposed to queue and this is really stressful and I just want to go home? Or was it like, wow, this is amazing?
No, I think the first few nights that I was there, it was amazing because, when like I said, my friend owned the place. So
Hmm.
the people who would go there for the first few months, perhaps, we'd know each other. We just go there
Hmm.
to party, to enjoy the music.
Well,
Um,
I think we're not quite gotten to the bottom of this, like, not ready kind of statement that you made.
yeah.
So let's go back a bit more then and find out when you first had that moment of being like, oh, I'm gay.
Okay. When I was in high school, I was bullied because I was feminine. Here in the
Uh,
Philippines, if you do not play basketball, it's something that they look down upon. You're not
yeah.
masculine enough, you don't play sports, so you're probably gay. But that time
Mm.
in high school, I was denying it to myself. Because I also get attracted to women. I had girlfriends in high school and college. So
Ah.
there was confusion there. And sometimes I talk to friends and tell them that I feel like I'm bisexual because get attracted to both sexes. And they were like, no, bisexuality is just a phase. You'll end up choosing whether you're straight or you're gay. So I heed their advice. Maybe it is a choice. So when I graduated high school, went to college, I decided to live a gay lifestyle. So I was out because in college there were new people, right? You'll meet new people, it's a new environment. So perhaps I should try this gay lifestyle out.
But so does that mean that you are bisexual?
Yes, I
But
am bisexual.
oh,
Yeah, but
okay.
I identify as a gay man, but I get attracted to women.
But so why don't you identify as bisexual?
Because I think there's a lot of talk. If I don't say that I'm bisexual casually, I just let them assume that I'm gay because I behave like a gay man. I mean, women won't get attracted to like feminine men.
Why not?
In my time, it's something that's unheard of because women would like, like basketball players and sports and guys who are into sports. So that's another like hurdle for someone who's bisexual and effeminate,
But so
you know?
so you identify as gay not because you are gay, but because it's easier.
Yes, it's easier. I don't need to
Wow.
explain. Yeah, I think it's easier. That's exactly it is. Yeah, it's easier.
Well, so sorry if my like sounds as though I'm being
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
judgmental. I'm
yeah.
just kind of getting my head around this because I can totally understand why it's easier. Like it's just like just won't bother correcting someone if they make that assumption about
Yeah.
me. And apologies because I
Mm-mm.
made that assumption about you. But does that not then make you feel like you're hiding a bit of yourself or erasing a bit of yourself?
I don't see it that way. For me, it's just I don't bother with how people perceive me anymore.
Hmm.
I don't care how people perceive me anymore. So I don't need to explain anything. And if people ask me how do you identify, I say that I'm bisexual, but I identify as a gay man. Is you look so confused
No,
right
no, no,
now.
just
Yeah.
no. I find the whole world of labels fascinating, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
something that I've never really had to struggle with myself. So I
Mm.
don't know why I always assume everyone else has to struggle with it. But yeah, there's just this thing of this reckoning, and sometimes it is just as easy as like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is it. Off I go.
Yeah.
But with some people, it's far more important that they have the terminology and the understanding of themselves through language.
Yeah. I
Um,
think for me, it's more of I don't want to spend my time explaining myself. So think what you want. I don't really care, and I will move forward with my life as I want to, and that's that.
but if you're ever in a relationship with a woman, it's going to be like lots of work of having to be like, okay,
Oh yes,
everyone.
I was in a serious relationship with two women. I mean, in separate times.
Oh, not at the same time. Oh.
I'm not that masculine. Trust me. So yeah, but now I'm in a committed relationship with a guy. So
Mm-hmm.
that's that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's something like in my head right now. If there are a lot of possibilities in the future, I'll cross the bridge when I get there. If things don't work out, and then I find a girl or a woman that I fall in love with.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I don't know why
yeah,
I'm like imagining like an event in the future that may or may not happen. Okay. So let's go back to college. So you go to college and you decide that you're going to live an out gay lifestyle to kind
yeah.
of try it on.
I was out. I was boisterous. I was always the funny person. I was noisy. I was flamboyant, and I used to be in theater, so it's easy for me to just be myself and be out in the open gay with
Mm-hmm.
everything that I do, the way I speak, the way I dress, the way I move, the way and the things that interests me, right? And then I fall in love with a girl for the first time.
Ooh.
So imagine the level, the layer of confusion that I'm experiencing at that point. Because I remember this. I was sitting down in the pavement with my friends in college, and one of my friends went to a different building, brought the girl that I got into the relationship with to introduce to us. And when I saw her, it was corny, but I think it was love at first sight because I really had a big crush on her immediately that moment. I looked at the sky, Kay. I looked at the sky. And being Catholic, I was cursing God. I was like, fuck
Oh,
this. Come on. I made a choice.
I picked a
And now
lane.
you present this? Oh my God. I mean, come on. You're such a tease.
How
So, yeah. But
interesting. Well, and like so many people would be like, "Thank you, God. Now I can be heterosexual and like present as heterosexual anyway. I can present as heterosexual
yeah.
and everything will be
Yeah.
amazing." And you're like, "Damn you."
Yeah. What's this game you're playing? You sadomasochist.
Well, and so did she know you as an out gay person, or this was like the first time?
Yes.
Okay. So
She
how was
knew
that all
then.
like getting into a relationship then?
It took me a year. It was a year after when I started courting her.
Uh huh.
There's still such a thing as courting back then here in Manila, at least. So I take her out, invite her to watch movies, and probably the first few times she'd like not think of anything about it. It's like a gay friend inviting her to watch a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But eventually, I actually told her that I was feeling something for her, and it took a while for her to perhaps admit it to herself that she likes me also because of the stigma of like who the hell gets. And
Yeah.
she's a pretty girl. All the guys and their fathers would want this chick in there. So there's shame in it for her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if I
you
would use the
know
word shame, but I was anticipating like there's got to be conflicting feelings and
Perhaps.
there's got to be this weird thing of like, how do I explain this to everyone around us who
Mm.
knows you as a gay man and her as your friend to suddenly then transition into a relationship?
Oh, I'd hear like rumors, and one of her the friend who introduced her to us actually told her, maybe my ex-girlfriend opened up to her and said that she was having feelings for me already. And the friend responded, "Are you desperate for a relationship?"
Oh,
And I knew that because she told me when we were together already. We were together for 5 years.
wow. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So I've spent too much time focusing on her. What were your feelings then? Like, obviously, you've smited God. You've said like, "Damn you, God."
Yes.
But then once you've got over that and you've decided to start pursuing this relationship, how was that navigating your identity, given that you had embraced this gay side of yourself?
Yeah. I think then I wouldn't be able to articulate it then. But now looking back, it was probably an acceptance that sexuality is fluid.
Uh huh.
Anything is possible, period, for me. And that's what I started believing then in terms of anything. I mean, against all odds. And I was 300 pounds then
Oh, how much is that in kilos?
in kilos, probably 150
Oh, wow. Okay.
thereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
So my weight was against me. My femininity was against me, and
And was there a confusion? Like, was there anyone in your life who was like, wow, we're so pleased for you? And then they were suddenly like treating you in a different way because you were in a heterosexual presenting relationship?
um, my friends who were gay and who I was open to about being gay or bisexual actually accepted that whole scenario.
Oh,
It was fascinating. They were fascinated, but it was just your normal relationship.
mm-hmm.
They'd go out with her, she'd go out with us, and she's part of the group already, and the family actually, my family, she was part of the family already.
Mm-hmm.
But these are my gay friends in my family. But for the outer world, I think it was weird for them. They, you know, Yeah.
So you weren't suddenly asked to join a basketball team.
No, no, too bad. I would have loved it in the showers. Can you imagine that?
Oh, I don't know. I would be so like, I've never been in that position, but I would just be terrified of like looking at the wrong thing.
My motto in life is try anything at least once.
Oh no, you've got it like at least twice. You've got to be sure.
Twice. Yeah, like sushi or sashimi.
Okay, so this relationship was in college, and so I think I'm getting a better idea of why you said you were kind of not ready for the gay scene when you started going out. But so by the time that you'd gone to bed for the first time, had this relationship ended?
Yes,
Okay, okay. Your first time at bed, do you remember what that felt like?
vaguely, but it was, I mean, it's like what, 20, 25 years ago, 20 years ago.
So you should remember every detail, right?
Give me a bottle of whiskey. Probably I would. I'm pretty sure I enjoyed it because I went back every weekend for the rest of my 20s and my 30s.
Oh,
But yeah, but because, a lot of people in the first few months were just friends that I've met outside of bed, right? These are people who I met in work and from friends of friends, and you know, the people that I used to party with in the first few months were familiar people. But things change, of course, in clubs, right? They will like shed away these people that will shed away, and then new people come in, and that's when I felt what you were saying earlier, that there was pressure already, and then there was like, and you know how the gay guys are, right? If you're not dressed this way and not
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
don't look this way, there's a little bit of pressure and competition there, right? So, but yeah, the first few months I remember it's really fun. There was comfort and a hominess to the noise and the lights and the music.
Well, so just to clarify, so you talked about when you first started going there, it was everyone that you knew and it was kind of like this familiar
Yeah.
scene. And then as it grew in popularity or as the months went on,
Yeah.
a different scene came in and suddenly there were strangers there. Are you saying you prefer it when you know everyone?
At first, because it was, I was very comfortable with the people. But there was this point, in the Philippines, Filipinos are very shy. We're very timid people.
What? What?
Yeah, I am actually the exception to the rule already,
No,
but I consider
no.
myself timid.
I don't think I've ever met a Filipino who's shy.
No, are you serious? So imagine all the gay guys in a club in dark corners not talking to each other. Imagine that. So there came a point that happened
Oh, I
because new
see.
people were
Okay.
coming in. So there were people like in the corner, and then they were quiet, alone, and sometimes they'd be a group of two or three people, friends. They'd huddle, and not talk to anyone. And I found that interesting because if everybody's either timid or trying to be the princess, waiting for their prince, who would then play that role, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I hate when a club is like that, when no one's intermingling and everyone's just on their own. Or like that thing that you just said about people waiting for their prince, and then you go and talk to them and they instantly dismiss you.
So you've
And you're
been
like,
there.
oh, you're like,
Yeah,
I'm not hitting on you. I'm just like trying to make conversation, and like because
exactly.
I'm not like this picture perfect thing that you want. You're just like telling me to fuck off. Oh, I hate that. It's so gross.
So, if I may say, to dovetail from what I mentioned earlier, that, this is my sexual awakening, I actually filled up that role. I chose to be the prince.
Oh,
Yeah, so I started talking to people and flirting. And I think the cockiness of that decision that I made me popular in bed. figuratively and
In
literally
bed, in bed, in bed.
in more ways than one.
Would it? But the words you've just used to describe that makes me feel as though you were playing a role rather than.
Yeah, I was playing a
Okay.
role. You're right. I was playing a role. It was a conscious effort actually to behave like the jock of the group. You know,
Ah.
the heartthrob and the, you know, yeah.
Which,
But but that's how I get catfishing. They didn't have
would
a
it,
term catfishing
that's
that
not
then.
catfishing.
I was it, isn't it?
Well, no, because
Catfishing?
catfishing is when you like send photos of someone else. That are you?
Yeah, in a digital frame. But back then, there were no smartphones
But
then.
so were you saying that you were
So
pretending to be someone else? Like it was that much of a performance?
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
let's go back to the beginning. So like let's say I'm the princess, right? And I'm like there
Mhm.
on the bar looking really sour-faced, pissed off,
Mhm.
waiting for my prince to come along. How would you approach me? What would you say?
Oh my God, Kay. This feels like I'm auditioning for Drag Race all over again. Oh, you know what I'd say? Hi, I'm new here in the Philippines. I'm new here in Manila. Would you show me around? And they'd
Ah.
believe me because no Filipino, right-minded Filipino would actually approach anybody else. So, something like that, or a really looking back funny punchline like, um, can you get me a glass of ice because you melted it so you could since you're so hot, something like that, something stupid line.
Wait. And that worked?
Yes, I remember. This is a real story, and I remember this very vividly because my friend and I actually contrived to make this happen. So we went up to this cute guy, right? Me and my friend, and we used this American accent to talk to him. and we and we told this guy that we were surfers. What a fucking liar! We were surfers, and we would want to know where the best beach to surf in here in the Philippines. And he was like, "Oh, you're surfers? Yeah, we're from L.A., California. We surf there." And you know what? That guy really ate it, and then eventually ate something else that night.
Oh, say no
Yeah,
more.
so it's yeah, and then of course, the charade would fade throughout the night, and then eventually they'd figure it out. But some of them became my friends, my real friends, up until now.
Yeah, I want to dig into this a bit more because I recognize a lot of myself in the stories that you're telling. That for a
Oh,
long
really?
time, so I'm one of those people that if you go to a party and the room is full of introverts, I will become the extrovert, or vice versa. I'll be like, oh,
Okay.
this thing here is missing, so I need to fill the
Oh,
gap.
that's
I need to
interesting.
become the thing that's missing,
All right.
and I have done that in the past a lot with dating and in clubs and things like that as well. When there are all those people who are like, I want to be the princess, I'll be like, right, cool. Well, I'll step up to the plate and I'll be the prince, even if actually I want to be the princess as well. Or like, that was my intention.
Yeah.
Like, tonight I'm going to be the
Yes.
princess. And then I go out and then I'm like, oh, everyone else is a princess. Okay, well, maybe I'll be the prince then. And I think that it's gotten to a stage with me where I don't actually know what I want because I'm so used to just like fulfilling the role that's needed. And it's not like I
Hmm.
hate fulfilling the role that's needed. Like I'm quite happy to adapt and like mold myself to whatever I feel the needs are. But sometimes I think, oh, do I actually know what I want? Or am I just responding to everyone else?
Yeah. 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 I can actually relate to you, especially when you said that in a room filled with extroverts, I'll be the introvert. Yeah, that happens to me. It just so happens that in the clubs here, particularly in bed, I become the extrovert,
Hmm.
and I think that's attractive for those who've never been approached before,
Mm.
for those who are also trying the scene for the first time and also experiencing the gay culture for the first time. So it's pretty exciting for someone. And you know what, Kay? I think my physicality plays a big role in it because I'm taller than the average Filipino. I am wider and I look mixed. I'm Eurasian. My family actually is Portuguese.
Oh.
So there is this sense of mm, I'm different. So maybe I should play that role.
Wait. Maybe I should play that role. Is that your internal monologue saying that?
Yeah, back then.
Interesting.
And it worked for me because when I was going out, remember I was practically a virgin with men then.
What does practically mean?
No, because I'd sleep with girls. Yeah. So I'm
Yes.
I'm practically a virgin with men. So I hate talking to you. You're making
Why?
me realize things about myself.
Oh, sorry.
So no, it's okay. I'm just kidding. So yeah, so this was an exciting part. The venue is there, and I was very comfortable with the venue, right? There were familiar people around me, even though new people were coming in. There were still familiar people around me. There was no weekend that I'd go out and not bump into someone I know. More than one or two people or two groups. I'd bump into them every week. We call ourselves the weekend warriors because we bump into classmates because we see each other every time in bed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think saying that maybe I should play that role is also something that pushes me to explore my queer side. I miss this during my teens. So I want to make the most out of my 20s because I know eventually I won't be experiencing that anymore. So, I was also experimenting for myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think, I guess what I was trying to get at and what I'm asking, but not directly asking, I'm asking in this roundabout way is if you are performing for people, and I know that's not the word you used, but let's just go with that. Like you're putting
Yeah,
on a
sure.
performance, you're becoming the thing that the other person wants. What happens when there's no longer an audience?
I go back to
And who are
myself.
and who are you? But how? But like,
Ah,
is that
yeah.
easy? Do you just
Okay.
snap back to who you are, or like, is it confusing?
Yeah, I just snap back to who I am.
Oh, because I don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe I'm this now because that person really enjoyed me being this type of thing.
I think also my purpose of going out then was not so much to meet new friends as it is just to get laid.
Yeah.
So the performance is actually for me to get laid. And if I do get laid in that night and it's done, I go back to myself.
What
I
you?
go back to myself.
Ah. So you're never like, maybe I want to see this person again. You're just like, that's it. That's the transaction over. See you.
Well, that's the painful truth that I learned doing that so many times every weekend. Sometimes I fall in love and I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to fall in love. I don't want to. That guy was good and we got a connection. And no, 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 I don't want a relationship right now. So nope.
Oh, do you just ghost them?
Do I ghost them? I probably some of them I have, but some of them, yeah, became friends,
But you just knew that you didn't want to be in a relationship at that time.
like a romantic relationship.
Yeah, because you were like sowing your wild oats. You were like,
Yeah,
okay.
yes, I was just trying to explore what I missed when I was in my teens.
Well, and so what kind of hats were you wearing there then? Like who were you becoming in order to pick up?
I just just a cocky guy, the cocky jock.
And he worked every time.
Yes, the cocky guy, the successful guy. I have a business. I I surf and I have a business
Ooh.
and I have a car,
Oh, that's all my boxes ticked.
which yeah, like tips the scale. all the time.
But is that how you'd start the conversation then? Like, oh, do you know that I have a car?
No, no, no. But no, no, no. But I end it with that because there was this time. Okay, there was this time I locked eyes with this guy. Right, he came up to me. I came up to him, and we just kissed. We just made out, like heavily made out. And then I guess one of us wanted a drink. So one of us left and got a drink. And then before you know it, that guy was kissing somebody else. And I'm like, wait, he can't have this. I put on a show, I performed. And then it feels like I cooked the meal and then somebody else ate it. So I told myself, okay, fine, let's just find somebody else. The night went on, and then when I was going home, I went back to my car, right, and went home alone. I went home alone. It's too late already. I went home alone. I saw him and the guy outside standing, outside the bar, outside the club. So I rolled my window down, and I said, "Who would you want to go with, him or me? I have a car." He rode my car. He went with me. Does that work in a first world country, or is it something? Is it a pickup line for the third world country? I don't know.
I mean, what kind of car was it? I don't know if that would work for me.
It was your lame Toyota Corolla.
What kind of sound system did it have?
A standard a standard sound system. It was a really bad car. It was given to me by my dad because he finds it too old for himself already. So he just gave it to me. So yeah, the tent was fading, and the air condition was like clicking every time I turn it on. So I have to punch it underneath to shut it up. But I, the guys eat it. So
If it works, it
I get guys
works.
with that car.
Yeah, yeah. But okay, and so in terms of this,
Yeah.
putting on a character, putting on a role, do you feel that you still do that at any point in your life? No.
Right now.
Yeah.
No, no, not anymore. Um, that's a very interesting question, Kay. You know why? Because at this point in my life, I have a level of celebrity because of Drag Race. So what they saw on TV is maybe the realest me that they will ever see. I wasn't putting up a show when I was in Drag Race. I was actually competing, and that was what I was focused about. Making sure that I can dance well enough to kick out the other queens.
Yeah, yeah.
That was what I was focused on. So the times that I was in the workroom and out of drag, I was just myself and observing. So what the audience saw was the real me. So it'll be pretty difficult to actually behave a certain way opposite what they see on TV and expect expect me to take home the boys at this point. But
But I mean, okay, so my follow up question there then is, do you ever feel any pressure to, in like one to one interactions with people, if someone runs into you and they're like, oh, it's Tita Baby, oh my God, hello, how are you? Do you feel the pressure to be a heightened version of yourself?
sometimes depends on the person. Because back in the 2000s, during the time that I was in bed, every week, sometimes I'd go there 4 times a week: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Some of these people that I met and I slept with are Facebook friends. Because back then Facebook
You
is
just add anyone.
as well
Yeah.
as yeah, I just
Yeah.
add anyone, right? So now that they've seen me on Drag Race, some of them are big fans. So they slip into my DMs and say, "Oh my God, I saw you in Drag Race. Congratulations," and all that. I really don't know how to react to that, especially when I tap them. I'm like, "Wait a minute, are you hitting on me now because I'm a celebrity, or are you just genuinely congratulating me because I'm on the show?" So it's not so much pressure, I say, but maybe I'm a little bit confused on how to react to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no pressure to be somebody else or the person that they thought they knew. It's more of what do I do now? How do I? Yeah,
Well, and it's part of that because, like, oh, do you want something from me?
yeah. That and did you enjoy our sex back in the 2000s?
I want a full report giving me a percentage out of 100 on these following areas. Yeah, no, that's weird, especially if like they were the ones that did it, like stopped talking to you after
Yeah,
you had sex, and then now they're getting in touch like that. Oh, that would be a mind fuck for me. I don't think I could handle it.
yeah, yeah.
Just block
And
them.
imagine meeting me in the club 20 years ago or 10 years, 15 years ago
Hmm.
as a strong alpha male who surfs and buys drinks and drinks whiskey. Everybody was drinking vodka tonic with cherry on top and a little bit of grenadine. But I was drinking whiskey on the rocks. So it was like, wow, a man, a masculine gay guy. And then all of a sudden, decades later, they see me in drag, becoming the aunt. So,
But, so let's dig into this then. Sorry, I think I've said that like so many times. Let's dig in. I want to know more.
sure.
Where's your head at then in relation to those two ends of the spectrum of your personality? Do you feel like you're maybe letting them down if you're an aunt, your Tita now?
The way I see it now, it's like it's a joke
Hmm.
that the punchline really is on them. That's how I see it. I fooled you when we were young, and now you see me as a woman, an elderly woman on TV who gained a little bit of popularity.
Elderly. Oh God, I hate our culture. You're like in your 40s and you're elderly. Sorry. Oh, anyway, sorry. Finish your point.
So I'm sure they're like, what the fuck, right? Oh my God, I slept with this guy. He used to be hot. And now she's like an aunt. And she's like my mother. How will that make them feel? But I just brush it off my shoulder and just look at it like the joke's on you then. Am I a mean person for doing
No,
this?
no. I think this is
I think it's
fascinating
funny.
though.
I think it's funny for them to see me on TV as an aunt, as a queen.
But I think like the thing that's fascinating for me here, and I'm not sure if this is like symbolic of our wider culture or if this is something about queer culture specifically, or if it's both, or
Mhm.
if it's just heightened within the
Mhm.
queer community. But we're at this point in time where no one is allowed to be a multifaceted human being.
I know what you mean.
Like both of those things, like you being this dominant whiskey drinking man and you being
Daddy.
this drag artist, like they're both you, they're both authentic to you. So why can't we
Mhm.
be like, oh, okay, well, you're both things. We have to put you in this box and we are upset if you don't live up to that standard, rather than just being like, yeah, cool, go have fun, go and do these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And we like do this to ourselves. We like force ourselves into this small box rather than being like, I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to be this person today. I'm going to be this person today. And I don't know. It's just why are we like this?
You're right. That is I don't think it's just the queer community who does that, right? I mean,
Mm,
I think it's also how we were brought up generally, globally, by the media. You know how villains are they're just evil for no reason, and then heroes are good for no reason.
mm. I find it really interesting to think that so much of who I am is about who I am in response to everyone else rather
Oh
than who
yeah.
I am.
Oh my god. Yeah. That's a quotable. I can put that on a shirt. Yeah, you made me actually realize that. And it's kind of making me sad to think that yeah, we have been behaving as a response to what the external society, family, or group of friends or whatever, in response to what they're expecting of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and that expectation is actually also just a perception, or my perception, right?
Yes, yeah.
For all I know, they weren't expecting that from me, but I was.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's kind
yeah.
of sad.
I guess the only thing that's comforting in that is that everyone else is in the same position. Like we're all just responding. It's not like it's just you and me. Or I hope it's not just you and me. Maybe it is just you and me. I don't know.
Oh my god! Thanks for making me sadder.
That's what I'm here to do every Wednesday. Right. So bed. Let's go back to bed. So bed is the place where you tried on all these masks and figured
Yeah.
out which ones you liked and which ones you didn't like. With that in mind, what do you think bed taught you about yourself?
Mm, oh, that the person that I think I was is something that I can change. The person that I
Mm,
think I was is something that I can mold. So, in essence, I can be whoever I want to be.
mm,
That's what it taught me. I think, I mean, not holistically, right? But for me, it's like one step to realizing that, if I didn't decide to become the prince or the jock, the extrovert in a room of introverts,
mhm,
then I wouldn't realize that I have that power. Anybody has that power,
mm,
to become who they want to portray. It may sound like pretending or putting on a role, or yeah, sure, but in spite of that, the point is you can behave a certain way and people will respond to you differently, the
mm,
way you want them to respond to you, which I never really had before bed, in college, in school, in that's a very good question, because I just realized it's in bed where I discovered my confidence, that I'm attractive, that people can sleep with me, people like to talk to me, they find me interesting, and all that. When I was growing up, this was like something that wasn't told me. I was
mhm.
actually told the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. But so sorry to pick at this when you've just had this
Sure.
revelation about your own confidence, but
Hmm.
you had to become someone else to find your confidence.
Yeah, but I think becoming that someone else is also, it's like drag, I think.
Hmm.
And it's very interesting. I like your questions because you're making me think about myself. I think I can compare it to drag.
Hmm.
Have you been in drag?
No.
But you've heard of the statement that drag is a superpower, yeah? From
Yeah, yeah,
RuPaul or
of
from
course.
whoever queen.
Yeah.
And the only time I've really understood what that phrase meant was when I was in drag. The first few times I was in drag. Because when I am in drag, I think it's a different person. But
Mm,
really, because I think it's a different person, the real me comes out. I'm not afraid to express who I really am. It's like a mask. It's the paradox of the mask. You put on a mask, but you become who you really are, because
hmm.
you know that you're behind a mask. So that's the crude explanation to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how drag is a superpower. So back then, I think that was the drag that I was putting on.
So you were a drag king first, is what you're saying.
Yep, yeah. Kings, queens, and princesses. That can be a book. That can be a book. And I don't share the point of view that being somebody else is like not me, because I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't in me to
Yes.
do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And okay, maybe to put a little bit of framing in it and a little bit of context. I have a very low self-esteem growing up.
Hmm.
As in, I was. quiet. I don't like talking to people. Aside from the additional shame of being queer, right? Growing up in an Asian family that is Catholic, it's like they're just feeding you they're just feeding you guilt. Any chance that they have, the family and parents, right? So I grew up feeling guilty about myself. So getting to that point wherein I realized that, wait, I can express myself, become this and become that, and actually just enjoy the night, not taking it seriously in a level of romantic relationships. I just want to get laid, or I just want to meet people, and have fun. And it worked for me. So there's a shift in paradigm, you
Yeah,
know.
and I think this maybe also. So I'm talking myself into this now after just questioning it. But I think there's a real power in trying different things because you then learn more about what you don't like. Like, so being someone else gives you more clarity on who you actually are because of what feels natural and what doesn't feel natural.
Yeah. Right. You're right. Exactly. That, I think that's exactly the perfect description of what I used to experience back then in bed. You're right, because there are a lot of things that I learned about myself that I don't like, and try to manage myself from taking it further. For example, when I get attracted to a guy beyond just a one night stand, and you kind of feel that, or there's evidence that they're not at the same boat as you, and I don't like that. I don't like breaking my heart. I don't, simply put, I don't like the feeling of breaking my heart. So there came really a point that probably I grew up or also and became a little bit matured. I don't sleep around anymore because of that, because I don't like that.
Ah,
It outweighs the excitement, the
yes,
thrill of
yeah, yeah.
sex.
But I mean, okay, but
You
the
know,
solution here is just to sleep with people that you find really unattractive. It's simple.
why didn't I think of that? That's an idea.
That is us for yet another week. If you enjoyed this chat, then please go and give Tita some. Sorry, that sounded like I was begging. I'm not begging. Tita already gets enough love, but I'm sure she could do with some more. Go give Tita some love on Instagram at your Tita Baby. And as I said at the start of the episode, make sure you go and watch Drag Race Philippines season 3. I mean, you can watch them all, but season 3, so good. I could also do with some loving, to be honest. So if you want to follow me on socials, I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Lost Spaces Pod. And yeah, I think that's us. Why don't we say goodbye for the day? And I'll see you back here next week. Yeah?